everybody. That's the I button.
Yo, what's up, everybody? GM. Happy Thursday, April 17th. It is 9:02 a.m. on the East Coast. It means it's time for a little breakfast. Time for a little Web3 breakfast, if you will. Guys, go ahead. If you are watching this as the repost video, make sure you smash that like button. And if you are here in the space, go to the bottom right. I see my guy Crypto X in the building. Go to the bottom right, hit to some people, it's a purple pill. We like to call it the multiplier. It's got a lot of different names to it. Go ahead, hit that button and let them know what we're up to. So it's Thursday. We're going to talk about crypto. Powell talked yesterday. We can go through that. I got another headline we can look at. Binance. They are going to be acting as a strategic advisor to some countries about Bitcoin. Very interesting. Let me take a look at the markets, see how things are looking. I know that I got into a couple good trades recently. I am hopeful that we are on the upswing. If you do look at, let me bring this up for anybody who is watching the video there. If we do look at the weekly, Bitcoin up almost 4%. You got XRP. Ethereum's not up much this week. XRP up almost 5.5%. You got Solana up, close to 20%. So we're seeing the glimmer of hopefully the changing of the guard, if you will. Crypto, I don't even know how I'm not following you, man. I'm gonna get you back right there. There we go. But hopefully, with that, maybe, we got to check other charts. We look at the total crypto market cap. If we were to pull this thing out, I got stuck on the 48-minute. Let me pull it open to the daily so we can get a really good look of what's happening. Because we were talking about this on the afternoon show. While we are kind of in like a descending channel, and that we have been, overall on the entire crypto market cap since about mid-January or so, technically, maybe a little bit sooner than that. But we had a pump that took us back up to a new high, there at the beginning of the year. So we'll say from about mid-January, we have been slipping and sliding from about 3.67 trillion market cap down to where we are currently now, 2.63 trillion. So almost a full trillion, or a little over a full trillion gone. So very interesting times. However, if you do look, since the beginning of April, we wicked down on the 7th of April, and we have been going up since. So maybe that's our recovery. Maybe it's just a little bull trap. I don't know. What do you think, Crypto X? How we feeling? How do we feel about the markets? Where are we at right now? GM, by the way.
GM. I'm feeling very optimistic. There's a lot of, it's really crazy. I mean, if we had the same news back in any of the past cycles that we are getting now, in the sentiment that how bullish not only institutions are, but governments are in this new technology, we would have exploded. And for some reason in this cycle, well, we know what the reason is, but for some reason, let's just put it that way, everything's being suppressed, and it's being, you can definitely see that there's now more manipulation in these assets than ever. But I'm still remaining very bullish. I mean, with all the news coming out, strategic Bitcoin and crypto asset reserves being formed by countries, institutions. I mean, look at Saylor just bought 250 million last week of Bitcoin. So all the big players are still indicating bullish signals. And then then we have the market signals that haven't even, like, ETH hasn't even got back to its all-time high yet. So that's a huge signal for me. There's a lot that people that debate about ETH, whether it's dead or not, or what's going on with it. I don't know. I think it might be a sleeping Trojan horse with the institutional wise anyway. You still see a lot of institutions piling into Ethereum for some reason, because apparently they're going to make it. This is the backbone now of, smart contracts and stuff like that. Again, because it was the first to market. I don't necessarily agree that it's the best technology, but I'm bullish. I think that we're going to see a grind up in this month, maybe we might see another little, capitulation, a little dip, but I think we're going to see a grind up through June, and then June, July, and August are the 3 months that I'm really paying attention to. I don't know if we're going to see the 4-year cycle, play out into October again. I think in the research that I've done and all the analysis that I've paid attention to, it looks to me like we're going to see that run up come in that time period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. How much the market maker, that's their whole goal, is to throw everybody off. So how many people are really focusing, on that October time frame for that 4-year cycle to end? And how many people, if it goes up and then peaks out in August, say August, beginning of September, and then they're still waiting for that October recovery that will never happen, then we dip into the bear market. So I'm just paying attention. My biggest thing to everybody, depending where you are in your investment strategy and your portfolio and what you're doing, nobody ever lost money taking profits. So just remember that.
Yeah, no, I think that's, that is probably the number one thing. However, what people got to remember to get over is not worry about the sell shaming, right? Like, it's people, if they do talk shit for, and you think this is more for like the meme coin stuff, not the big bags, but you gotta take your profits, and you can't worry about anybody else and what they think or what they say. Two things that you were talking about that really kind of like strike a thing in my head that I wrote a note about, and I think I'm going to create some content about this. First one being that crypto is showing more manipulation than ever in the market, and I feel like if you've been in this space for a long time, that the crypto's been manipulated for quite some time. But I think you're right. We are seeing it. We can see it more now because the news has never been bullish. And if you were to think, and we talked about this a little bit before in the past, where if you were to think back to like 2017 when I got into the space, a project put out a press release saying that the founder farted and the project would go up like 500% like that day. You know what I mean? Like it was different times. Like news like that doesn't happen anymore where like these projects go up. Now it's like this government's got this much Bitcoin, or the strategic reserve, we're going to buy $1 million worth of Bitcoin every year, whatever it is, right? Whatever all these things are, like this is actual, banks using 100% of XRP for internal transactions. That's the kind of shit that, like, if this was 2017 and Bank of America put out a presser saying, yeah, we use XRP for 100% of our internal transactions, do you know what that would have done? That would have sent that shit to like $100. I know the times were different, and tokenomics and everything are all different and everything anyway, but like it is different times, right? And then the other thing that you were talking about, and then Mike, I want to swing it down to you, is being first to market, ETH, kind of with the smart contracts, all that stuff, and maybe the trust that they have brought in. Like we already know that you don't have to play so much by the rules to get the big contract. We know that in the regular world. We know that with Crypto.com, they got the endorsement even after the rollback, all that stuff. But so what I feel like, I've been in the camp of fuck ETH, ETH's dead. Like we've been watching it spiral. We've been watching the death happen. But back to the first point, that it's more manipulated than ever. Let's think about what Trump said when Eric Trump had said this is a great time to buy Ethereum. I think in my mind, because of the manipulation, because they know what's happening, because of NDAs and being silent and all that stuff, all he could say was, Ethereum is the thing to buy right now. When you say this is basically going to be like running the rails of a lot, that's the signal. That's the sign, because they can point back a year, 2 years. Think about these guys are, in the traditional investment world, they're not so much worried about next month. Maybe later this year, because they know they got a piece of the crypto people, but he can go back and say, I fucking told you, man, when this shit was $1,500, I told you, y'all thought it was dying. Y'all said it was going out of style. And I feel like, these are the signals that we're starting to see there. So Mike, what you got, my guy? GM.
Yo, GM. Talking about ETH, ETH has, spot ETFs, and if they allow the spot ETFs to be able to take profits from the staking and allowing you to get essentially a dividend, that's game on, because you got to imagine that instantly puts Ethereum better than most dividend paying stocks out there. So I would, as an investor, I would, that would gravitate me towards that and getting a yield on that, because a lot of investors love getting dividends. But that puts it better than Coca-Cola, for example. Like, you have more price appreciation, and then you also have a higher dividend payout. So like, why not? And then you're on blockchain, so like, the security and the whole things that crypto bring with it. But in regards to like kind of like what CryptoX was saying, with timing wise, I've been watching a lot of with Raul Powell and Pompliano, and he's been talking. He did an interview. Pompliano did an interview with somebody in the White House. I was basically saying, I think his name was Bo Hines, and he was saying that right now they're looking at August, because they got to get all this. Right now they're like undoing all the shit that Biden did. Then they're gonna, they're building stuff, and then the implementation is looking around August. They need to get it done before. I think they take like break in August or something like that. Like, the government takes a break. So I think they're trying to get all that done by then, which really lines up to me with coming to the fall. August, September, October, November, like moving towards that Q4 where we have that big run up.
Man, I can't wait. I know, and it's we want it to happen now. We saw it happen in November, and unless you were smart, you didn't pull the trigger on pulling the profits. I know we all thought it was going to go much higher. Didn't expect this sharp of a pullback, but it is what it is. Knowing that and kind of seeing the writing on the walls, even if it does say it's prolonged and it happens in 2026 versus Q3 or Q4 of this year, the second half of this year, right? Say it does. We know the writing is on the wall where this is going. And that to me is like, if you're not bullish on crypto, if you're in crypto right now and you're not bullish on the future, like long term, like what are you doing? What are you doing? There again, you think about this, and you've heard me say this, and I don't know if CryptoX, if you've heard me talk about this, and I feel like I would like to hear your opinion on this. But when you look at the charts, when you see a bullish divergence, that's typically price going down, but all the signals, all the things down below, and the indicators are pointing up, right? Like you've got some really good indicators of where this is. This is not going to flop, that this is going to pop. And I feel like in my heart of hearts, this is what we're seeing happening in the crypto ecosystem right now, is this bullish divergence play out where price is going down. But if you look, down below at the market side for B, you got headlines every single day that are banging headlines. I mean, I could just go to, I'm going to search just crypto. Coinbase gets regulatory notice over accounting issue. Okay, that's maybe not the best banging. That was not a good example of a banging headline. So I take that one back. Let's say Binance acting as advisor to governments on crypto regulations. That's massive. Russia eyes national stablecoin to boost crypto use. That's pretty big, whether you like Russia or not. Let's see. China is going to dispose of their growing stockpile of seized crypto. That's probably not a good headline. I mean, we probably want it out of the Chinese government
coming
hands,
out of China.
What's that?
You got to be wary with that that the news coming out of China like that, because is it FUD? Is it propaganda? Like, why would China dump their digital assets when every other country is stockpiling them? It doesn't make any sense.
Man, because of that manipulation. And like when I was early on in crypto, it was the old rumor that crypto is controlled by 4 Chinese businessmen, over in Beijing or Hong Kong. Like that's all of crypto, that was all Bitcoin. That's how it started. And that's the urban legend, all that stuff. But I feel like, this is, what was this? The Daily Hodl. I don't know. There's a couple sites though that are, Cointelegraph, China selling seized crypto to top up coffers as economy slows. I mean, it makes sense, right? You could say you're doing that to FUD crypto, or do that. Sell your shit at the top, and then just say we're just going to sell at the top, cause the panic to happen, and then we'll just rebuy. We'll buy for cheaper. Who knows? But I'm here. I'm with you.
China's a whole other market of its own. You can't really, you don't know what's going on over there. And I mean, anybody that's been in this industry for a while, how much the China banning crypto, China approving crypto has fluctuated the market so up and down over the years, and it's it's I don't know. To me, it would be a huge strategic mistake for China to risk, doing the buy, sell, dumping. I think that's more FUD in the market. Again, I think what we're seeing here is we're seeing that the institutions trying to shake the retail out as much as they can to get these assets, because you've got to remember, for the longest time they didn't have access to them. So now all of a sudden they have government clarity on what this is and what they can do with it. So now is their time that they want to, they're trying to get as much as they can. And who controls the media is basically, is correlated with in some way to these, big institutions, whether you like it or not. So whatever narrative they want to push to fluctuate the market to get their better position, that's why it's so important to understand what this technology is and understand what's happening here. Most people don't. Like most people, like I get on Spaces or on Clubhouse and stuff like that at times, and I hear people arguing about which one's better. Like, for example, like XRP or ADA, or which one, but people understand they're not necessarily in competition with each other. They do different things. They complement each other. That's why XRP and ADA have a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why XRP is they're implementing their ledger for Cardano to be used on Cardano for Ondo bringing these U.S. treasuries in. So there's a lot that's going to that's taking place right now, and you got to really pay attention, because a lot the market maker is really putting a lot of misinformation out there right now to shake people that don't understand what's happening out. So you just got to do your research. That's the biggest thing, and take everything with a grain of salt right now, because we still have what is this? This is the fourth, so we still have a good 7-8 months left in this year to see the cycle. And that goes back to talking about what you were saying. We've got to remember, you guys, this technology technically doesn't get turned on until October. I think October is when they're going to flip the switch for a lot of this technology. I've heard different, conflicting dates, especially with like the XRP ledger and ISO coins and stuff like that. I know there was supposed to be back on March 10th. They were supposed to do it, but they only had 108 banks or institutions out of the 5,000 that need to be hooked up to the new system. And there's no translating language. So once they go over and they're hooked, you can't communicate with ISO if you're still on the old system. So you're just out of the loop now. You're no longer able to do business. So they pushed that back again. And I've heard, July 27th is another date that they're supposed to implement it. Also in October, they're supposed to implement it. But the main switch, I think, for a lot of this, especially with like the XRP ledger, the ISO token, stuff like that, is more in October. Now, with that being said, if that's the case, what's that going to do to the market? Because that's when this gets turned on actually, and the use cases are starting to be adopted and used on a daily basis. How much liquidity is that going to bring into the market? For example, XRP just acquired Hidden Road, the largest acquisition in crypto history of 1.25 billion. They have an annual revenue of $3 trillion. So even if we bring a third of that, they bring a third of that revenue onto the XRP ledger, that's like $700 million. What do you think that's going to do to the price? When these things actually start making money for people and are being utilized, it's going to go through the roof. So that being said, that's the other scenario that I'm kind of paying attention to right now, because we all have, like I just said a minute ago, I'm looking at June, July, and August to definitely de-risk and profit take. Whereas you kind of want to, in some regards, hold some of these bags of some of these more utilitarian coins, because they, when they turn this technology on and it starts becoming utilized worldwide, what's that going to do to the price? And you don't want to be, sitting there holding the bag of, RLUSD or USDC or USDT, and it just keeps going up and up and up, because now it's not just speculative investing anymore. These assets are actually turning profit and making, generating income. So that's something that I'm kind of also keeping my eye on, because that would be like, think about it. everybody thinks that we're going to see there's another 4-year cycle and it's going to end, you know, around the September, October timeframe. But what if it doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
What if they inject tons of money into the market at that point, you know, with M2 or, well, you know, they turn the money printers back on, whatever they do, and it just keeps going and going and going. And, you know, that plays into that super cycle theory. I don't know if it would necessarily be a super cycle, but, you know, I definitely see that is a real possibility that could happen. So, you know, don't subscribe mainly to this, you know, one theory or another. You kind of have to, you know, leverage yourself and de-risk yourself so that you can, you know, you have a hand in all of it. You know, like for me, for example, I'm really considering, you know, if you would have talked to me, you know, a year ago, I would have done like I did in the last one, where I liquidated 90% of my assets and then bought back in a year later when the market dipped, you know, and Bitcoin was at 15K. Whereas this time around, I'm like, well, dang, what if this does happen? They turn this on, like, for example, again with XRP, that starts generating money because, you know, it's one of the top projects, is what I'm talking about. Most people know about it, and they, you know, it starts generating revenue, and it just keeps going up and up and up. You know, so something to think about. And I don't know if you guys saw this this morning, but another influencer had run between Grok and ChatGPT, whether the going to be the two most successful cryptos of this year, and Grok came up with XRP, and ChatGPT came up with Ondo. So just throwing that out there as well. Yeah,
I'm into that. I'm a fan of that. I got that bet with AJ that XRP $10 by Christmas. I know that's a lot of hopium and wishful thinking. But you know, if the switch does turn on and say they capture, I don't know whatever the transactional volume is, that potentially it's like a several $1 trillion that what's that company again, that, god damn it, Hidden Road, right? Hidden Road, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like their volume is like several trillion a year or something like that, and so
3 trillion annually. Yeah.
So that there, I think really does, if the XRPL handles that, would be wild. Yeah, there's the headline. XRP price prediction, all 3 trillion annual volume by Hidden Road. If you go to the bottom, I was looking at this the other day, right? Or this morning. 2855. 2855. If they can handle all 3 trillion in annual settlements.
I'd be happy with half of that. Let's do 14, 40, 30.
Yeah. $28 XRP. I know, like, a lot of people like cringe or like, what? Shut up. But hey, that's the math, baby. Let the math be the math, and join the XRP army. Let's go. Mike, what's up, guy?
All right, so I have an opinion that probably, you know, some people will disagree with, and, you know, I'd love to hear your opinion. So put your hand up if you want to speak and come up on the stage. But I think most headlines are bullshit. I think that most of it's noise. I don't think you should be looking at headlines and news to be making your financial decisions. I think what I implore people to do is break it down to the fundamentals of why things happen. For example, why does Bitcoin go up? Fundamentally, there's more buyers than sellers. Simple as that. Supply and demand. That's how the market works in general. Most of the altcoins are speculative because most of them have not done anything yet, and it's the hope of what they can be. The very few altcoins have actually proven themselves yet. And even like in my eyes, Solana is still proving itself. It has a lot to go. When we have mass FOMO, mass euphoria, will it shut down? Because when we saw the meme coin things, it was struggling to do swaps, and a lot of swaps are failing. So we'll see how that goes. But in my eyes, I think you need to break things down fundamentally. Why do things happen, and go from there. So you look at you look at the governments. Governments are buying Bitcoin. Countries are buying Bitcoin. All the big picture idea of what's happening before leads to more demand. So I can't believe that this market is over. I can't believe that the top is in. Now, Bitcoin's going to go up, and it's going to drag everything else up with it. So there will be higher prices. Not that the coin is good, just because the market has more liquidity in it. Now, you're going to have, you're going to have a lot of liquidity coming in the market scene because China and the US have yet to cut rates and yet to print. When that starts to happen, Bitcoin is like the most sensitive asset in the world to liquidity. So you're going to see Bitcoin react to that. And again, all risk assets too, down that risk curve, like all the altcoins. So I would just look at the big picture. I think you're just going to drive yourself nuts. And I did this in 2021. You see headline, oh my God, that's going to be so great for this coin. I should get in, it's that mentality. Whereas I think whatever decision you're going to make, I think you need to break it down to its first principles and then understand the snowball and trigger effect or the trickle down effect of what happens and what would your coin need to be successful long term, and then make your decision on that, because that's going to lead to more successful decisions along the road.
Oh, love that. Love to hear that. I see we got our guy Hash showing up today. What's up, my G?
Hey, good morning. So I feel like I tuned out for a split second yesterday. Did the founder of Base rug us?
I woke up to
Is
looking
that-
like seeing some charts that there's like the Base for Everybody coin that I think was being promoted by Base or something like that dropped like in like a heartbeat.
Yeah, again, I think Jesse, if I understand correctly, sorry, I don't have my coffee yet.
I have
He's
mine, but it's almost
founder-
empty. Cheers. Get your cup.
Cheers. He's the founder of Base, and he's currently the team lead for Base and Coinbase Wallet. I don't know exactly what Zora does. I know that it's somehow involved, and it's also the name of one of the characters from Zelda Ocarina of Time. Very important part of this story.
Which, by the
And,
way, you guys
yeah,
know
I
I'm not a
guess-
gamer, but I have logged many hours of Ocarina of Time. Happens to be probably my wife's favorite game of all time. Go ahead. Sorry.
Amazing game. No, there's always time to pause for, the love of Ocarina of Time. Ocarina, you know what? Let's not get too sidetracked here. So Jesse's the guy, and he, I guess, dropped this coin on Zora, or he coined it. I guess that's their cute little fucking. Honestly, it's kind of brilliant, but you can coin everything, right? And then proceeded to immediately coin something else. I think I heard someone compare it to like Trump and Melania, except instead of like 3 days, it was like 3 minutes. And
$17
I don't
million
know,
liquidity
like,
trap.
How do you front run? Like, it must, again, I don't know, but it seems kind of wild.
You know, it probably wasn't them. You know that they probably.
Solana.
Oh, go ahead.
Imagine Solana tweeted out a shit like a meme, whatever. No, a new alternative to meme coins. Just Solana. Like, it would run to like 100 million. I don't know. It just I'm very confused, but I'm pretty sure he's like the founder of the whole layer 2.
You know what's wild is that's not the first time this has happened this week. This past week, you guys got to remember at the beginning of the week, end of last week, wasn't a UK government official. Their X account was hacked, and it promoted some kind of like Parliament coin or something like that, and it was all a rug pull. So I mean that these hackers, you got to remember, are fierce right now with this because it's just such a gold mine for them, because most people don't know about phishing schemes. Most people don't know about that they don't understand that you can click a link that somebody texts you on your phone, and within a matter of minutes, seconds, these people have access to your whole phone. So I think these hackers are getting way more inventive, and they're really bringing their game to the table here because of the amount of money that is at stake here, and that could be rugged because people don't understand what is really happening here, and they hear, oh, Base has got its own coin now, where listen, if you know what's going on, Base has a coin already. It's traded on the stock market. that's their coin, you guys. That's the base coin. You want to get involved with the base, jump on, start investing in the TradFi on the stock market there. So, there's a lot of that. I think we're going to see more of that as we move forward with these rug pulls, with these scams. So just, that's the biggest thing with this. If you're going to self-custody, security. If you're scared about self-custodying, you're coming into crypto at a brilliant time, because we have other alternatives now. You can have Schwab custody it for you. You can have, some of these other financial, not what I agree with. I believe in self-sovereignty and all that good stuff. But most people, especially older people, because I work with a lot of older people coming into this industry, they want Big Daddy to hold their hand still. That's what they've had their whole life. They've had JP Morgan holding their hand, telling them it's going to be okay, telling them that, hey, listen, we'll help you buy a house, we'll help you buy a car, it's all going to be okay, just listen to us, follow us. And that's what they still want. They don't understand that those institutions aren't, they're not there for us. They're there for them, and they're there for their bottom line. So that being said, self-custody is the way to go, in my opinion. However, if you're going to do that, do your due diligence. Understand the difference between the wallets. Understand do some research on some of these scams and stuff like that, so you don't get hit. Because I know a lot of people, more than I wish to know, that did stupid shit and lost a lot of money. I just had a buddy call me 2 nights ago who, I helped get into the market. I told him, listen, these are the ones that are going to take off. And this guy's, getting greedy, so he wants to do some arbitrage on XRP, and he sent $10,000 of the XRP over to some exchange I've never even heard of. And I've been, again, like JChains, in here since 2016, 17. And what happened? His money disappeared.
Oh,
you got to be careful.
Hey, yeah, if you ever have a harebrained idea like that, get yourself a thought rock. Not that you did, CryptoX, but for anybody in the audience, anyone listening back to this later, I have one on my crypto desk. And before I make any impulsive crypto buy, I pick up the rock, and that's what it's for. It's the thought rock. Is this a good idea? And if you have to pick up the rock, maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe it's not a good idea.
Have you ever had to hit yourself in the head with the rock?
No, I have a guy for that.
I literally think that's where he was going. I thought he was going there with that. I thought it was like pick up a rock and hit yourself in the head. It went a different way than I thought.
Yeah, no, Sandra. Sorry, I shouldn't call Sandra a guy, but yeah, Sandra's my plug for that. She comes over and she smacks me if I'm getting out of line. So for all kinds of, everybody needs a Sandra in their life. So I just did a little bit more digging now that I have like 2 sips of coffee, and this Jesse guy went on Books' stage yesterday to answer questions about this after it rugged, which just leads to further questions on my end. Now I'm like, is this a marketing stunt? Like, Books get paid? Like now I'm in the weeds, but I'm pretty sure it was not a hack. I think this was actually him. This is very weird.
So do you think because we are in, like, man, I don't want to say like the lawless era, but if the Trump and the Melania coin can happen in the way that they happened, I feel like that people have this feeling that it gives them carte blanche to do something very similar. Like, fuck it, who cares if the president did it? Who gives a fuck? What's
Okay,
that?
but
That's
you're
what I
not
was
the
just thinking.
president.
Thanks. That did, when you were talking, that totally went through my mind as well, and I've thought about that in the past. There's no regulation right now, so think about it. If you're a financial institution and this kind of liquidity is floating around in the ethernets, why would you not? There's no regulation. You're not going to get in trouble. So why would you not do this to like bring your market cap up or put more money in your pocket? I mean, that's why, it's another form of manipulation, just to be honest. And I guarantee, maybe not in this instance that wasn't the case. Maybe it was, but I guarantee they're out there doing this, because that's part of the manipulation that's happening now, because some of these assets should be worth way more than they are, but they're being held down and manipulated. And then when you see some of them shoot up, they automatically drop right back down again, because those whales are selling on us and then sitting back and waiting until we're all like, oh shit, there's some bad news coming out now, so we better get out of the market, because China's selling their assets, or they're selling their crypto assets. So that's going to make the market, supply and demand. That's going to make the market crash. I don't, I think that you're absolutely hit the nail on the head there. I think that this could be insider trading to a point, where they're raising these assets up so they can bring more money in for whatever project they're doing, or just to line their coffers to their own pockets. One thing I learned from the movie Scarface: never underestimate another man's greed.
That's a fact right there, man. That is a fact. And if you've never dealt with a lot of greedy motherfuckers, man, welcome to crypto. Welcome to crypto. Hash, what you got, my guy?
I don't think that I would celebrate the SEC case being dismissed with doing some dumb shit like this. That's my opinion. Like, how much could they have possibly made? The token only ran to 15 million, maybe a million, and they would have had to do it in an insider trading kind of way, and there'd have to be a record.
You think that he's got more money from like all the shit that he's doing? Like that wouldn't be worth it.
List a shitcoin on your you'd make more money from the volume of listing a fucking coin on Coinbase.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Jesse is involved in that part. I think he's just specifically the base guy. But
he was with Kraken before, right?
Is he trying to daddy us and be like, you guys are bad boys, stop buying shitcoins? Like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, because like what it seems to me is like the founder of Base rug a token, and everyone's like talking about it. So I'm still leaning towards marketing. Like, is this just like, hey, we need to promote Zora, and so this is like, we'll piss off some fucking Coles, and you gotta,
you say that kind of thing, and you start talking about promoting something else, and you do something like this where there's going to be not a whole lot of repercussion, but what it does, it gets a lot of motherfuckers talking. A lot of people are opinionated, and there are a lot of people, they say your name every time. We are in the attention economy, guys. Remember that. You got to do everything you can to stay relevant.
If I was a builder on Base, I'd be either really pissed or really happy, and I'm really not sure which one.
I think if this, you got to think, crypto is like the people in crypto are like fish, right? They got about a 30-second memory and attention span, and the next time something sparkly that glitters goes by, that's like, oh, sparkle. Then it's just a flash in the pan, man. And so this will be long forgotten very soon. And Base has got a very bright future ahead of it. And I would just, if this is a marketing scheme, congratulations to whoever fucking idea it was. Is it suck? Is it embarrassing for the industry right now? Yeah. But again, who the fuck else hasn't rugged a coin that,
the president of the United States even rugged a coin. So, exactly. I mean, come on, the standard here is a little,
And that pisses me off, by the way. I'm not for that. And that's, I don't think that, that the liquidity suck and the launching a coin, rugging it, or whatever people do is the right move. That's what we need to clean up in the space. And I was hopeful that this kind of like little interim bear market that we're having would have been kind of deal with these issues. But man, you see from the big players, from the top, from the top down, it's interesting, man. You talk about greed. Remember, people understand that you could do that shit. You could make a lot of money. Now he might have made maybe $1 million, maybe whatever. I don't know, but.
See, I know how you said like we have more of like the new shiny thing comes around. I think just society in general has just become more of like a gambling society. There's just a lot more people gambling, and I think that's why it kind of led to where the meme coins have like really taken hold, because it feels like that gambling. You get in early when the meme coin launches, and you take your profit really quick before it drops off.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. You got to be a diamond hander. You got to join the community, man. Crypto Trucker, what's up, brother? I think you're still muted, fam. All right, then.
It created a real, when Trump did that, and then they automatically tried to clean it up by painting the narrative that these aren't, oh, this isn't currency, these are collector's items, that's in my opinion, that created this dangerous narrative now that has opened the door for a lot of other people to say, oh, well, my meme coin was just a collector's item. I can't help that, everybody went out and bought, my collector's item. And then, I decided that I didn't want to collect those anymore, and I sold all mine. So it's a very dangerous situation that he has put the industry in, because now there's that loophole, because the president of the United States can do that and get away with it. Why wouldn't that sets the precedent for everybody? So why shouldn't Joe Schmo, the plumber in Cincinnati, Ohio, be able to get away with it as well when he creates the plumber plug coin or something like that and pulls everybody on it? So it just breaks my heart that it's because he's supposed to be he came in as the Bitcoin president and very very bullish on crypto and all that. Reasoning being greed again, because see what his family's doing in the background.
Yeah.
However, he's not. He's doing other things that like, especially with that rug pull. With not only his coin, but then with his wife's coin as well. And that being said, that sets that precedent for that. And I don't know why they thought that was a good move or that was okay to do. But now we have to work. We as retail investors have to be mindful of that and keep that in our in the back of our mind to be like, okay, well, Swift is launching a coin now, or BlackRock's launching its own coin, but are they really? Is this another rug pull? Or is Larry Fink going to pull on the Fink coin and they're going to pull it on us? And I actually, with Crypto Trucker, I agree with you. It is a lot of gambling right now with most people, because you've got to remember, I think it's like something like 70 to 80% of United States citizens have less than $400 in their checking and savings account right now, statistically. So if you only have $300-400 in your account, there's this opportunity in front of you to better your life, your children's life, by putting a little bit of money into, Trump coin or this coin, and there's that narrative that's behind it because of what he was doing, and what he said at the Bitcoin conference last year, and oh man, he must really be doing something. And then it pulls on you. Not only does it create a really bad taste in everybody's mouth, but it's just impoverishing the people that were already poor again. And it's no better than doing what the banks do, charging fees to people that are already broke for overdrafts, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, they're it's interesting when you see those stats come out every year about the billions and billions of dollars of fees that the banks do take, and most of the time it's from people who can't afford to lose that kind of money. So that part of the system is broken. I see Hash, you had your hand up, but he rugged right when we were about to go back to him. Here he comes. He's back. He's Hash. It's Hash. Go ahead, brother.
I think becoming a parent just allows you to make a song out of like literally any activity or thing that happens.
True, but so silly.
True. It's so silly. The
worst thing about being a parent is the awful times where you don't really realize like what you're saying, and you're out in public, maybe talking to someone else that's not in your family, like a bartender, or whatever, and you say like a yummy, or like you say like I gotta go pee pee or whatever. You're like,
I had a poopy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, just remember, you're with grown-ups again.
It's embarrassing, and okay, sidetracked again. So I'm of two minds. I'm gonna drill down on this. People, we're conditioning people like, hey, stop speculating, smack hand. But then doesn't that just let bad actors get in even more insider trading, right? Because like, again, I'm just trying to work this out. So now, instead of the Trump launch where people were conditioned like, oh, ape it, because like if you wait too long, you might miss that big pump. And now we're being conditioned the opposite, like, hey, stop speculating on these coins. And so people will stop throwing money in early, like retail people, which just lets the people who know that it's going to get pumped get in even more early and hold more supply. But now it's like in an organic way that looks better. Yeah. I think it still hurts retail.
Well, yeah, only because like the
those
retail
people ultimately decide.
Yeah,
They
and
decide
again,
what's popular, not me.
with your point there, though, like the retail is always going to be a little bit later to the party, right? And true retail is not actually here yet, but to your point, like yes, and if you've been now conditioned to don't buy the initial, just wait, and then all of a sudden it starts to go for like a day or two, or I mean sometimes way shorter than that, as we saw. And then the retail says, all right, fuck it, I'm buying in. And then that's when they pull the trigger and they sell on you. And you're like, fuck, happened again. My Solana's worth nothing.
Yeah, and like, listen, there is a big part of me that kind of loves that all the people that usually win got right in the face yesterday. Like, it does feel good. It does. And I don't know what used to Schadenfreude. I don't know what it is about it, but it does. It feels good. And I'm trying to separate that emotion from it because I don't know, but I'm seeing a lot of people supporting this on the timeline. They're like, "You guys owe this Jesse dude an apology. He's revolutionizing the space." And like, I'm pretty sure he just stole money from people. Are we celebrating that now? I don't know. The like no crying in the casino has gotten to a level now where like, not only are we blaming the people who got held up at gunpoint in the casino for going into the casino, now we're not even. Now we're just like, well, you guys are paying for those guns now. Like we're going to charge you to rob you. It's like it's getting out of control. We have no finger pointing that goes towards any of the bad actors. It's all about self accountability, and then the founder of Base can just be like, "Oh hey, thanks for the 20 bandos." Like,
God, I mean, dude,
this is wild.
That earlier in the show I told you, like, back in the ICO day when I got into the space, 2017, it was this project launches an ICO, and then the next week you see the founder on his yacht or driving around in his Lambo. It's like their money wasn't going to marketing. That money wasn't going to anything. It's like the same thing. You're seeing, like, potentially, right? You could see Jesse next week driving around in a Bugatti. Like, thanks for the money, motherfuckers. You never know.
I'm seeing that I'm going to try and find the time on it, but it looks like he was answering questions for about 45 minutes in Books' space yesterday.
Okay.
I'll try and grab the timestamps, but interesting.
So, and then whatever, does anybody here, I see my guy Doom showing up. What's up, Doom? How are you today?
Hey, man, what's up, dude? I've been busy this whole week, man. I haven't even caught up with anything fucking crypto at all this week. I have, like, no idea what's going on, so.
A lot of craziness.
I saw something with Base. I think that's what you guys are talking about right now, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Am I correct on that?
And then there was the
I have no idea what's going on with Base.
And then there was the Ohm mantra debacle.
Yep, I saw that. I think Blocky did a short on that, or he did a long on that. I think he traded that, if I'm not mistaken, and did pretty good on that.
The guy, the co-founder CEO, John Mullen, I know he made the media tour and he was defending just about everything possible. But if you look at, I think there were some people saying in the background for a while, kind of watch out for this. Something doesn't seem right here. I know there was for some reports. I'd seen a tweet earlier saying, there was some report that had came out from, man, who the hell was it? Some platform, and they were saying, no, man, there's something ain't right about this. But he defended everything, I don't know. Is anything new with that information? You guys know? Take that as a no.
I don't know.
No. I know that he then he said they're going to burn 90% of the tokens, right? Or not 90%. They were going to burn all their team tokens. What was it? The 300 million locked up Ohm tokens allocated to the network's team in a bid to win back the community trust after the collapse. 300 million Ohm tokens is what they're going to burn. Would you invest in that?
No, I would not. I'm looking it up right now. I'm sorry, man. Like, I feel dumb, man. Like,
no. You don't have to be sorry, man. You're good. Like you said,
I'm like actually reading I've been gone. Yeah, I have. So I've never even I didn't even heard of. So I've never heard of Ohm token, and I know that was it was what in the top fucking 20 or something something like that, or where was it at on the chart before it?
It was
fucking dumped? Like,
up
where
there.
were you?
It was up there for sure. I mean, it had like an $8 price target just a few weeks ago, and then I think it was in the high sixes, but then it dropped down to 68 cents today.
Wow, holy shit! Yeah, I saw something. I saw the original drop. Let's see. God damn, dude, it wiped out fucking 80%. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mantra. Yeah, that's right. Fucking yeah, Blocky and all those guys always talk about that token. Holy shit, man. Is that supposed to be a JP Morgan token or no? Or not JP Morgan, I'm sorry. JP Mill. The fuck, dude? Why would they have their names that close? JP Mullen joins the coin. Okay, I don't know. I'm picking up some random ass fucking article about it on something called the Street Roundtable. I don't know, some weird ass internet news site, I guess.
Nice.
I just picked the first fucking article. I'm just looking at it. So,
I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, bro.
no. Like I said, I think like Blocky has to confirm it, but I thought Blocky fucking shorted it. Like I thought Blocky was just like fuck it, I know he did that fart token trade. I know he had like 1100% on that fucking trade. That was a good fucking trade that he had, but I thought he did trade Mantra when it fucking dumped. Like I need to ask.
Yeah. There was a lot of us.
I wouldn't buy any tokens.
A lot of us in the group.
Yeah, I would never
were kind of taking advantage of that volatility that first day. It was pretty good. Now, will the token burn? Will that give any confidence back into this project? Is that an admit to guilt or defeat by burning all of your team tokens?
Dude, burning the tokens is like exactly what crypto shouldn't be, which is manipulating supply for price. You know what I mean? Like, you fucked up, it went down, suck it up, buttercup. Like, that's what happens, and move on from here. If your project is fucking good, it'll come back. But if you have to burn tokens, it just tells me that you don't even believe in your own project.
Ooh. Yeah, but that's no different than like a company that went IPO, selling more of their stock to, like for example, when Apple started, they sold off a portion of their shares to create a revenue for research and development. And so it's not on scene for a company or in this case a project to liquidate some of their holdings so that they can innovate or whatever. In this situation, I agree. They messed up. There should be some repercussions for it. But that's not unheard of in the financial industry. What's wild to me?
What I'm saying that is like the foundations of crypto is like we're trying to get away from that. Like traditional stocks have been doing that for decades, and whole being crypto is supposed to get away from that. They shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't. If you want to research and development, raise the fucking money to do it, or put money aside from it. Don't fuck with the stock.
And how much did you say he was going to burn? Like 80-90%? Is that like some crazy ass number like that?
So it was, let me go back to it's 300 million tokens is the team supply.
That's the total supply, or that's what they
so Mantra set aside 300 million ohm, which is 16.88% of the tokens, nearly 1.78 billion total supply for its team and core contributors. They're currently locked and were scheduled to be released in stages between April 2027 and October 2029. But sounds like they're just going to torch them. So they weren't even they don't even have access to their team tokens.
Wow. Yeah, that's a fifth of their supply, like the fifth of the whole token supply. Well, just damn near.
Yeah.
So if they,
but you just said they're not unlocked. You just said that they're not even unlocked yet. So they still have them in a lockup period until next year and then in 29. So that's just weird to me, how they're going to attempt to burn those when they haven't even unlocked them yet into their into the market, into their circulating supply. I want to also, I don't know if you guys have seen, but one good thing that has come from this is look at the news on Pump.Fun today. They're taking the brunt of this Coinbase. I'm sorry, this current rug pull from Base. And I think that it's going to do something really well for the industry here, because, you know, anybody that's been in this more than a couple of years, you know what that Pump.Fun's done to the liquidity in some of these actual projects this past year, where it's literally drained all of the money that could be going into some of these projects that actually have sustainability, that are actually doing things that are going to be part of the new economy, and it's taking them to taking people to the casino, and it's just taking that liquidity and putting it in who knows whose pockets, because most of these are just get rich quick or schemes or rug pulls. So, but I am really interested to see what the backlash that Pump.Fun takes from all of this, because something needs to be done there, because anybody can go in there right now and just start something and say that it's, oh, I'm the, again, this is the Larry Fink coin, he's endorsing it, and the next thing you know, it's not. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out, because it's done a huge detriment to the whole ecosystem by allowing people to just go on there and pretty much print their own money, so it's wild. But yeah, we'll see what happens with it, but it's interesting to see they got that backlash from it.
And that's a really good point, and it makes me makes you think, and I've often thought about how does this all work, because we know if you were to think about meme coins and crypto, it's kind of like gambling in regular society, right? Like, it's not everywhere. It's not every street corner. It's in select parts of, like, say, the United States, where you've got some hot spots. You go to Vegas, you can go to Atlantic City, all that stuff. And so it's kind of like meme coins are that to the crypto culture. However, when you start to think about what you were talking about is just the issuance and the ability to create these things at some point, much like, stock issuance and needing a money transmitter license, all that kind of stuff, there needs to be some way to structure the ability to allow the decentralization to happen, so that it can't just be you got to safeguard people, because it's not for everybody, but you'd have no way to know the difference, right, between good actors and bad actors, unless you sometimes still don't even know. But I hope you guys understand what I'm saying there. We do need to clean up that part.
I get it.
Go ahead.
I get it. Hey, I was gonna say, Chains, a little off subject, but not off subject. How's the LeapFrog indicator been to you? Like, do you feel like it's changed a little bit of the game with trading, or no?
Oh yeah. Like, I'm starting to notice like the pattern times and all that stuff of when to start looking. Like, I was saying the other day, 8 p.m. Eastern is when we get the new daily VWAP to start. So that's, around 8 p.m. is when I start tracking it. And, the whole idea is, you look at those leaps of where, where's it going to go? Is it going to go touch the previous daily? Are we messing around with the weekly? Where's the SMA at? It's just crazy how these things are acting as magnets. And I'm not saying it's quite predictable, but you can start to see how it works, where, throughout the day, if you pay attention to, say, the SMA and the daily VWAP are really close to each other, but the previous day is a little bit off, or there's some of these other leap potentials are a little bit off, and that's where the price target seems to be moving and headed. I'm not saying predict, but you can definitely see these patterns to where throughout the day, it may dip, but then it comes back, and it'll dip again, but it comes back, and it'll pump, and it'll come back down and touch it. Like, it just acts as a magnet, and it's really interesting. So I've won a couple trades, just smaller ones. I'm still trying to learn it. Before I kind of really try to hit a home run, I really want to make sure that I got it dialed in so that I understand it and get some more capabilities squared away. So, but so far, I fucking love it.
Yeah, that's probably where I'm at with it, like around where you're at with it. You know what I mean? Because like I'm still learning a whole bunch of shit about trading, like patterns, this and that. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like that was the game changer. Like, with using Market Cipher and that LeapFrog indicator. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, because I've noticed too, like talking with Blocky, because Blocky charts a different way or whatever. Like, a lot of where his predictions are where a lot of the different VWAPs are. It just, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, we're looking that it's going to go here to here. Well,
Yeah.
my
And what's
number is around
wild
this point. You know what I
is,
mean?
you know, and if you were to like, you know, if you were to turn off your the LeapFrog, right, where these VWAPs are, I would say sometimes where you draw the lines, it does match up, but you know, sometimes it doesn't make sense. There's no like you don't have a real historical strong, you know, support or resistance level there. But for whatever reason, man, it just fucking stops right there and it bounces, 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 and then it moves on. So, you know, it's very interesting how it's all working and playing out. So I would definitely recommend, you know, to anybody who is watching or listening that, you know, if you have not seen, you have no idea what we're talking about. Flopping Gropers is he's CryptoFace's brother. So, you know, he's got his relation to Market Cipher, but, you know, he started his own indicator that works on VWAPs. And so I did an interview, a fun interview with him the other day. You know, half of it we spent shooting the shit, and then the other half we were kind of going through it. So again, more to learn as far as the LeapFrog indicator goes. But I would go back, watch that interview, and if you know if trading is your thing, or if you're trying to learn whatever, you know, go back and watch that, and then you know, you can take the next steps. All the information is in that video. And if you do want to start trading, or you are trading and you need a place to trade, make sure you go to description, my bio here on X. You can click the link there. That'll take you. It'll get you on the trading team. Also down in the description of the videos on YouTube. You can find it there. So make sure you tap in, join the trading team. We've got the Easter competition going on. There are 6 days left. 6 days left. I got to jump up my my trade volume for this competition's like 300,000. I gotta work it up. I want to get to 1 million for the competition for my, you know, my first competition trade volume. So I hope you guys are out there trading too, having some fun, trying to earn some ducats. So there you go. All right. Anybody got anything before we get out of here? It's a little after 10. I didn't mean to keep you long. I know everybody's got a skedaddle, this shit going on, but Hash, go for it, my guy.
Show tomorrow or none for Good Friday?
Oh, it's a good Friday to have a good show. It's Pizza Friday.
Love it.
It's Pizza Friday.
Love it. Yeah, I was going to get my pizza order in just in case there was no show. And then also the fact that you know what ducats are and that you use them in this space made my day. Thank you, JChains.
You're very welcome. Big fan. That's actually, it's one of those words from my earlier days in life that I have to actually restrain myself from saying, because I would overuse it. And I don't want to be like Steve Buscemi, like, hey kids, what's going on? That kind of guy dropping ducats. And so just, you know, I did not restrain myself, and I let it slip. So I'm glad it made your day.
Always good to see another ducat user. Ducats, however you personally pronounce it. Thanks for another great week of shows, JChains. Let's give it up for our wonderful host. If you haven't hit the purple pill, now's a great chance. Hit that multiplier, retweet, like the space, drop a comment, share it with your mom or maybe your friends. I don't know. Have a great day.
Either one, to each their own. But yeah, no, that's a great thing. I think. Thank you to everybody that joined me on the stage. Y'all are the heroes. To the ones that sat in the crowd, y'all are the heroes. To the people watching the replay, y'all are heroes too. Just make sure you smash that like button on your way out of here. I appreciate you. It is Thursday, so I will be back today at 4 p.m. Make sure, again, guys, if you want to join the trading team, the squad, trade on Phemex, all you got to do is click the link. It's in the bios. It's in the descriptions, all that stuff. So we will see you this afternoon. We'll look up some news and some numbers, maybe get into a trade. You never know. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Do something to make yourself better. We'll talk about that later. Ciao for now.